Moment of silence. Moment of silence, man. Hell real. Deion Kemp. Yeah. Moment of silence. Hell real Deion. Rest in peace, y'all.
I guess they wasn't believing my words, wasn't following the moves that I made. Face to face with life in this world, watch it cause your ass will get slayed. The games that these people will play, type of shit that they all are throwing your way. And if you fail, they throw it all in your face. They want you to fail and just catch you a case. It seems these niggas is lost in the phase. Most time I can't do nothing but sell coke or sell vapes or sell weed or sell X or sell boy. Shit's crazy. Still boy, you gotta drift on, you know. Get the fire beneath your feet like a rocket and lift off. YBI, S.A.S. to blow the flip off. This the beginning of the game, it's the kickoff.
I'm tired of explaining to these people something that's so goddamn obvious. We're not desperate for heroes in the black community. Any nigga that survives this nightmare is my goddamned hero. I talked about how few black people were invited to the White House, how Frederick Douglass was the first, and that it didn't happen again till Roosevelt. But that was wrong. It happened one other time before that. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson received a delegation of African Americans at the White House. They were from South Carolina. There was a man who was lynched for a $30 dispute at a grain elevator, and they killed him because the nigga was rich, and they hated him for being more wealthy than they were, and they murdered him. And the people in South Carolina said, fuck that, and they went via the governor of South Carolina. It was a black delegation that was facilitated to meet with Woodrow Wilson. That delegation was led by the AME Bishop, William David Chappelle. It's where I get my name. It was my great-grandfather, who was a slave when he was born. These things are not old. This is not a long time ago. It's today. Are you out of your fucking mind if you can't see that? And these niggas say, why isn't David Chappelle saying anything? Because David Chappelle understands what the fuck he is seeing. And these streets will speak for themselves whether I'm alive or dead. I trust you guys. Fucking mind if you can't see that. And these niggas say, why isn't David Chappelle saying anything? Because David Chappelle understands what the fuck he is seeing. And these streets will speak for themselves whether I'm alive or dead. I trust you guys. I love you guys. We'll keep this space open. This is the last stronghold for civil discourse. After this shit, it's just rat-a-tat, tat-a-tat, tat-tat-tat-tat. I love you very much. Thank you for being here. Good night.
Dave mean, ain't he? Dave mean, man. Dave ain't just a comedian, man. Dave is not just a comedian. Dave is the greatest comedian ever. Let me throw that out there. Coldest. I'm gonna tell you why he the coldest. Dave is not the coldest comedian for anything he did prior to his comeback. That is not what I use to rate him. Um, what he's doing, first you have to understand what he's doing. You can't look at it as a spontaneous act, something that's just happened because of what just occurred. This man has been plotting and planning on his return for years. You feel me? For years, man. What do you think he was really doing in South Africa? This is what he does naturally. This is him. You feel me? He wasn't just like, oh, fuck it, I ain't doing it no more. He was trying to figure out how I'm going to come back and get these bitches because they played him. You know what I'm saying? He wanted revenge. But he knew he had to do it smart. He had to do it intelligently. He had to be strategic. He had to take planning, specific moves, the acceptance and willingness to take losses and go without certain things. Where some artists or entertainers would have felt the pressure from those festivals or those movie events being taken away from him, he didn't give a fuck about it. You know what I'm saying? That freedom is that's where the freedom is. That's where your freedom is. Because you have the option. The other option may not be comfortable or maybe a opposite of what you would prefer, but you do have the option. You do not have to go through or participate. You do have the option of declining. You don't even have to play the game. Now, you may lose some luxuries. You may lose some access, some privileges. But that's where the freedom is. To not be a slave to those luxuries, privileges, the access. You feel me? You can't let it dictate, because if that's so, then someone has control of you. You don't have control, they can run you. You feel me? Swallow my daddy, man. My daddy gave me the fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck all that shit. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, on a positive tip. Fuck it. Saying fuck it can be a positive thing. You gotta have some fuck it in you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have, man, fuck that. Fuck you. Fuck all of that. And that embodies individuality. You feel me? The who you are within you. If you're able to function and maneuver and maintain alone, or not even alone, but just with self, you starting off on a good foot. But yeah, though, so Dave Chappelle is dangerous, man. Dave Chappelle understands who he is. He knows who he is. And he understands that he can't just say things flat out. Please forgive me, they're working in my building if you hear the tit-tat. But he knows he can't just say things flat out for multiple of reasons. And the world we live in, the world we live in is not controlled by us. The things we indulge in are not of our creations. We have no control of the procedures, the policies, the workings, the details, the intricate ways. None of that. We're a participant. We're not an owner or a creator or a designer. You understand what I'm saying? Or architect. We don't have anything to do with those things. We're playing the game that was presented to us from birth, unknowingly. You know what I'm saying? We just born into the game, Doc, and we playing it. You know what I'm saying? So all of the rewards or attributes or whatever you may consider, that anything that you may feel that you're accustomed to having is was created and is given to you from them. My bad, hold on. Be still safe and circle free. You know what I'm saying? So that's only a tool that they're using to create a sense of control, because the control is an illusion, because you have the option. You may feel like you don't because you're born into it and you're unaware. And this is where I spoke a little bit about life don't come with a handbook. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what the fuck until you like in the midst of it. You trying to maneuver because you done got into some shit now. You got to do this and you learning things because you have to. But by then you like, you know what I mean? Your understanding has went through so many phases. You're almost mature. Feel me? But Dave Chappelle, understand what he went through. He created something. You know what I'm saying? He created something. The Chappelle show. He created that. That came from his brain. You feel me? If you're a creator or artist or anything like that, if you write music, if you paint pictures, if you do anything to where you take an idea out of your brain and materialize it, to have someone steal that from you outright, like just wrongly, just do you like a sucker, and you gotta sit there. You ain't gonna swallow that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna swallow that. And he couldn't. But he understood. You hear him in his material. His father told him, you set your price. And if it ever becomes more than what you're willing to pay, you walk away from that. Because then you sacrificing the integrity and respect that you have for yourself. After you go past your limit, now you digging into the person who you are. You know what I'm saying? You compromising your being, your individual, your values and morals, your views. You know what I'm saying? You're bending. His father told him, don't. That ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? Over time, entertainment and TV and these luxuries have become so much of a common and um, just easily accessible luxury in our lives. Just we're able to just, you know what I'm saying? We can't imagine having our lives without it. Though there was a time before this, our elders. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit ain't necessary to conduct in this business, in this system, in this world. Yes, but you have the option to decline. But if you play in it, you have to be aware that you're playing in it. And there's ways that this system in this world operates. And Dave had to realize that. I'm pretty sure he was aware of it, but he suffered an experience the hard way due to his contract that cut him out of that 50 million that they didn't have to give him, and the fact that they were able to continue on using his name and likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe. Yes, I'm saying, like he said, his contract, like, because he signed it. So if they take it to a front of any judge or anybody who has the right to make a decision, you signed it, brother. Like, you lost, right? But that don't make it right. So they beat him out the money. He had the option. You could jump back in and play. So I'm saying, go by rules, or you can not. And being in the fact that this system, all of it is in the same, um, in the same, it all deals with the same information and the same objective. What I mean is the interest. This is the better word. The corporate interest. It's what matters in the system. What the shareholders are going to benefit from, right? Not what the artist or the entertainer necessarily needs, asks for requests, or you know what I'm saying, or bring to the table in negotiation. That's not what is the deciding factor. The deciding factor for real is what the shareholders, the investors are willing to go for, right? So he chose nay. I'm cool. I'm bouncing. But that system also controls the information that you get. So they slandered him. Don't he smoking crack, he crazy, blah blah blah, right? But he bounced completely out the country. Now that said some things, man, for this man to have to. He felt like, man, I'm leaving the whole. Come on, man. think about all of the conspiracies and all of that shit, right? All the conspiracies about the entertainment world, and this man being, you gotta know who Dave Chappelle is, man. Like he mentioned, like I said, he mentions his grandfather, but he comes from a family of intelligent people. Like all of his relatives, his first, you know what I'm saying, are prestigious people. Like his great grandfather led the delegation. You know what I'm saying? Like they heavy. You know what I'm saying? So he like the he's the what they call it, the spook by the door. You know what I'm saying? The spook by the door. He's like he can't really let you know. Like man, I'm smart as hell. I know all of this shit. He gotta sneak it to you.
These niggas be on some other shit, dawg. I snatch it, hold it like a pit, y'all. Don't wanna fall deep in the abyss.